Welcome to the school committee meeting of July 16th, 2025. This meeting will be conducted remotely over Zoom. Attendance by school committee members will be remote, and remote attendance shall count towards quorum. The meeting will be broadcast live. Since this is a remote meeting, all votes will be by roll call. There will not be any public comment period tonight. So we'll just get going. Item 1 on the agenda is discussion and possible vote on the finance director recommended candidate. Dr. Cabral?
Thank you. I am very excited this evening to introduce you to our recommendation for finance director. As you know, Andrea Starzewski is leaving us. She's moving on to other opportunities. She isn't gone just yet. She's helping us with the transition. And we had a broad net and search for a qualified finance director. We were, I believe, extremely fortunate to find an experienced finance director who happened to be looking for something closer to home. This fits that bill for him, and the committee, led by the HR director, Christina DiNapoli, very happily moved him forward as our finalist. I then spent a good 2 hours with Joe Spagna, who is currently the finance director at Blackstone Millville. Then Kelly Percio, who you approved to be the school committee member to meet with him, met with him for, I would say, about an hour as well. She and I met with him again, and she is giving her 100% support. Of course, I will let her speak for herself, but that was her comment to me. We then, of course, did our typical search of online presence and vetting of references. And I will say a little bit about Joe, but I will allow him to introduce himself and then ask Kelly if she would like to add anything for your consideration. Joe was a finance director in Rhode Island for many years. Blackstone Millville was his first district in Massachusetts. And I spoke to his superintendent is actually outgoing to another district, but I spoke with him, and he is a trusted colleague that I have worked with for many, many years. And he said, among other things, that Mr. Spagna is stable, steady, smart, consistent, very authentic person. He knows where every penny is. He understands all public school finance and funding sources, even for a regional school district. We are not, of course, but that can get very complicated as well. He also said that he was a quick learner. He needed to get his procurement certification when he moved to a Massachusetts district, as well as learning about the differences in Massachusetts law. And they're also in the pipeline for an MSBA project, which you have experience in that, and you know that can be very complicated. And he said that Joe was very quick to learn everything that was necessary there. I will say, because I think it's a very important quote, that he ended by saying, "Joe is probably the best hire I have ever made." And that was very telling to me because, as I said, this is a trusted colleague, very professional, very well-known in Massachusetts and well-respected. And his other recommendations were exemplary as well. So I would like to enthusiastically introduce and welcome Joe Spagna here this evening. Joe, if you would like to just introduce yourself and anything that you would like to share. And then Kelly, if you would like to add anything, and I can answer any questions.
I'm sorry, Dr. Cabral, I just want to interrupt you.
Yes.
After Mr. Spagna speaks, if you could just give us a little information about who was on the committee, what the makeup was, how the committee worked, that type of thing, that would be very helpful.
No problem. Okay, Joe, and if you'd like to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. I got to make sure I reach out to Jason and thank him for such kind words. It's the year or so that I've been with Jason was, it was tremendous, very supportive of me getting into my feet into Massachusetts, which is slightly different than Rhode Island, obviously. I am very excited. I hope that this does go through. I am very excited to be working with Easton Public Schools. I lived in Easton about 30 years ago. My wife and I were there for several years. The only reason we didn't stay at that point in time, we couldn't afford the housing but to raise our family in. But now being back is great. I live in Raynham, so you're right. I am closer to home. This is where I really was trying to get to, was something a little bit more local, more in my neighborhood. I'm hoping that my experience that I bring will benefit Easton Public Schools. I do know that the team that I met, including Dr. Cabral and the others, they're enthusiastic, dynamic, they're smart. It's a team I think I'd like to be a part of. So I appreciate the opportunity, truly. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll have, if any committee members have any questions, I just want to get a kind of a preview or a summary from Dr. Cabral about how the committee worked, and then if Kelly could kind of give us her overview as well, that would be great.
You're on mute, Dr. Cabral. I can probably provide assist.
Thank you, Lynn. Lynn just helped me. Thank you, Lynn. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. So Christina DiNapoli, as the HR director, ran the committee. It included Craig Davidson, Director of Student Services, Chrissy Pruitt, Assistant Superintendent, Tony Kopaz as the Director of Facilities and Finance. Both Craig and Tony are in areas that have a lot of financial capacity and really unique bidding processes and 30B and so forth. So we thought it was important for them to be on that. And Wendy Nightingale, the town accountant, also served for the town's perspective as well. We wanted to get as many financial perspectives as possible. And then, as I said, Kelly also, she was unable to join the initial interview. And so Joe was kind enough to join us, and she had her own seat, her own interview with him for, like I said, I think it was about an hour.
Thank you, Kelly.
Sure. Yep. So I'll just add, there was a number of resumes that were reviewed in preparation for this. We did go through a number of pillars as a team in terms of what we wanted to emphasize for the role. And there was a few resumes that were selected for a panel interview. And then Joe was the candidate from the panel that I was unable to meet. So the only candidate I met was Joe. I know the panel met other candidates for the school committee's awareness. We did spend time together. We talked a bit about both financial management and oversight and presentation of information. We also chatted quite a bit about the role of a school committee and the uncertain times that we're in at this point in time. One thing that Joe did share with me, he is used to meeting with the school committee monthly, and he would welcome the opportunity to meet with us and provide us updates on the financials on a more regular basis, such as monthly, which I know is something we've in the past expressed that if the capacity existed, we would be interested, especially in the current times, of getting more frequent updates in terms of budget and financials and movement on them. So we spent some time talking through that, the type of information that would be presented for a school committee, the type of information that Joe would be looking to understand and be aware of, to be able to provide the appropriate oversight and projections on how we're performing as a district and where the financials sit, and also how we could start to have an awareness of our financials in uncertain times from a federal funding standpoint. So we talked through a number of those things. We also talked through the difference in moving from Rhode Island to Massachusetts and the number of years of experience that Joe has in terms of his ability to understand school financials and the complexities of them, and some of the challenges of our current situation as well. So I am comfortable that he does understand. He is prepared to also support us in a year where we'd be estimating things from a negotiation standpoint and working through scenarios with us. That is something we talked about. Just ability to do that kind of financial forecasting and planning, and how difficult it can be to provide transparency into a set of numbers that are adjusting as staff changes and federal funding changes and state funding changes. But I am comfortable that Joe will do his best and will be providing us those updates that we are seeking in a way that we expect them. So I do support Joe fully as a candidate. It was an accurate statement that I do. And I also find him personable and responsive in his way, thoughtfulness in terms of how he answered questions. So I do support him. I did encourage Joe does have, I believe it's a 60-day notice period. So I did think it was worth us meeting in this, more recent meeting and remote meeting to make sure that we could move forward.
Thank you, Kelly. That was really good information. Do any other committee members have any questions they'd like to ask? Okay. Seeing none, Dr. Cabral, anything else you'd like to say?
No, unless you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer.
No. Well, thank you, Joe, for coming. So I'm going to make a motion. Dr. Cabral, make sure I do this motion right. I'm going to make a motion to accept Dr. Cabral's recommendation that we offer Mr. Joe Spagna the position of Finance Director. Do I have a second?
Percio, second.
A roll call vote. Lauren, we can start with you.
Loomis, yes.
Jim?
Hamilton, yes.
Colleen?
Toddler, yes.
Kelly?
Percio, yes.
Wiseman, yes. Thank you. Welcome. We're
Thank you
excited
very
to
much.
meet with you
Congratulations.
and to work
Congrats.
with you. And we have budget subcommittee meetings coming up soon. So
Mhm,
looking forward
absolutely.
to all our work.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And I
look forward to it.
I did let Joe know that on July 22nd, we are inviting him to the school committee meeting so that you can meet him in person. And we have also invited him to our management conference this summer. So
Great.
Joe, Christina DiNapoli will be getting in touch with you. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Really
Excellent. Thank you very much. I
Thank you
appreciate
so
your
much.
support.
Thank you.
Look forward to meeting you.
You
Bye-bye.
too.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. All right. That's exciting. So Dr.
Very
Cabral's second item on our agenda is update on fiscal year 26 staffing.
Right. So there were a couple of positions that we said we were keeping our eye on, and we are. One is the multilingual learners. First of all, I'm not going to bury the lead. We're not looking to hire any of these positions just yet. We are still watching them carefully. Math coach was on there. I want to make sure that we are hearing the staff in our annual requests for staff feedback on the budget as we prepare it every year. It has been pretty consistent for several years now that they have asked for a math coach to assist them. This year we are adding some math benchmarks and progress monitoring tools. And it would be a great year to add a math coach to help and assist in that data analysis and then transferring that to the instruction. However, as you know, we're in a really tough position, and it really wouldn't be optimal to hire someone only to potentially let them go at the end of the year. And so we are holding off on that despite the need. We do hear the staff, of course, and we want to provide as much support as we possibly can. It's just not something we're in a position to do at this time. The other two were the multilingual learners. Again, we're holding off on that. We had some ideas of how we might do that in a more cost-effective way, but it still is a cost. So we're holding off on that. The one thing that we really don't have much of a choice on is kindergarten. It is quite a problem to have too many children in the kindergarten class. We are not hiring a kindergarten teacher just yet. However, we are quite close. We have 11 sections right now, and they all have 21 to 22 children in them. August is a big month for those sort of parents who are now turning the corner and seeing that the end of the summer is coming and thinking about enrolling their children. So we will keep a close eye on that. I may even have an update for you as soon as July 22nd. But Right now, we're about as at the top of where we think we should be for a kindergarten class. So if we get 5 more children, there'll be 22 in there'll be 22 in every kindergarten class. Once we start getting above that, it does get a lot more difficult. I mean, imagine having 23, 24, 25 5-year-olds in a kindergarten class. And then I just want to remind you that kindergarten and preschool certainly are not compulsory in Massachusetts. And so for kindergarten and first grade, it's really more challenging than any other grades in the sense that you just have so many disparate backgrounds and experiences converging in one place. You've got kindergarten children who are coming in, who have been in a structured preschool, perhaps even our preschool with a structured curriculum that aligns with our kindergarten. We have kindergarten children who are reading and writing their name, knowing all their colors, numbers, letters. And the other end of the spectrum, we have children who have not been part of any educational program to that point, maybe have been home or have it could even be only children and haven't socialized with other children yet. So it really runs the gamut, and it can be extremely challenging, as I'm sure you're aware. And so that is the one position we are watching the most closely right now that we could potentially have a hire. However, we also do have our kindergarten revolving fund. It has a finite amount of money in it because we don't collect kindergarten tuition anymore. So it is really kind of a last worst case scenario is to tap into that because it is not long term, certainly. I don't expect, based on the last couple of years, that kindergarten enrollment is going to go down in the upcoming years or anytime soon. But if it did, then if enrollment either stayed the same or went down, we could move in the other direction. But it's not something that we really want to tap into because it isn't part of the operating budget. It's not recurring funds that we would need for a staff member. But that you may hear me talking about in the next 4 weeks or so. And it's a very difficult time of year to hire someone. And the further we get into the summer, the more difficult it is. And kindergarten, different than any other grade, is a unique licensure. It's actually an early childhood licensure, kindergarten to grade 2, whereas other elementary teachers, for the most part, are grades 1 through 6. So, like I said, we're watching that closely and holding off on the others at this point. But that's our update as of now.
Thank you. And I understand we have a new assistant principal at the high school.
We do. Gemily Neely is returning home, we like to say. She was a teacher in our district for 16 years. She's a second career educator. She actually was in human resources first in industry. She was a Spanish teacher at both the Easton Middle School and the high school. Beloved by students and staff alike, has a great rapport with parents and families as well. She is an Easton resident. Her children are enrolled in the Easton Public Schools. And so she did something that, it might seem unusual. Why did she leave the district? That actually is advice that we give people who are aspiring administrators, especially if they've spent their whole career in one district. It's very important to learn different perspectives. It's very important to learn how other districts do things and how it compares to Easton. And interestingly, when I had the final interview with her, she had, it was one of the first things she brought up. She was very thankful. She went to a different district and served as an assistant principal for a year. It was very successful. She's very professional and loyal and had, mixed feelings about leaving them after so soon, but it had always been her plan. She didn't expect it to be this soon, of course. She thought she'd be there for several years and then at some point come back to the district. So this wonderful move for TJ Flanagan, becoming the principal at Norton High School, provided that opportunity. And so she's super excited to work with Kelly Kavanaugh and Dan Mastrogiacomo. And very excited to come back to the high school. And we're very excited to welcome her back. She had a lot to share about her experiences seeing another district. She said it gave her a great appreciation for a lot of the things that we do in Easton, and she was able to really offer them and contribute to their community. So, like I said, it was a successful year, and she was very happy she did it. And I think all it did was make her even a more well-rounded administrator. She actually did her administrative mentorship with Kelly Kavanaugh. So they have that great relationship. So she's excited to come back and work with her. And we will, of course, help her with her mentoring and induction program and working toward a professional licensure and all of that. So yes.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. She was, we were on some of the reopening committees together back in the COVID days, and she was really, really easy to work with. Always had great ideas, great participation. I think it'll be a great fit. I'm excited that she's coming back.
Yeah, and if you remember, she was also co-president of the EEA for some time, and so we worked with her in that capacity as well. And she's very professional and great representative of her colleagues at the time.
No, I think that's
Both
great.
of my kids had her in Spanish.
Oh, really?
Oh my gosh. And she was absolutely one of my favorite teachers that they ever had. I just thought she was great. And then actually, I mentioned to my son and some of his friends who were just home from college, I said, hey, guess what? Mrs. Neely's coming back to the high school. And they were they have no dog in that fight. They're out of school, but they were really excited for her. They all were talking about how great she was and how much they liked her. Many of them had her, a couple of them hadn't, but they all knew her and thought she was great. So
yeah, that's great. Thank you. And has there been any discussion about whether to hire a second assistant principal at the middle school?
So Mr. Carroll did request that get posted. It was posted. That does not mean it needs to be filled. So I did ask Mr. Carroll to get feedback from the staff on that, but I also would welcome the school committee to give some input on that. We strongly recommend it for all of the reasons that we have brought up before. It is a much different time, and we are one of the only districts around. In fact, I think Mr. Carroll told you at one point, Sharon Public Schools, actually, I shouldn't have mentioned the town, but a town called after we were able to add a second assistant principal and thanked him profusely because they're one of the few towns around that only had one assistant principal at that level. And they kind of had been holding out because they always said, well, Easton's doing it. And so, so we really are, we were, very rare in that sense. And it turned out very successfully, actually. Last year, there was quite an improvement there at the middle school, a lot more support for the staff. The administrative responsibilities were spread out, and Mr. Carroll was very vocal about the fact that he was able to get out and into classrooms a lot more and work on a lot more of the principal responsibilities, which are, of course, different than assistant principal responsibilities. He is very, very insistent that he needs a second assistant principal. I promised I would share that. But of course, we are very interested in your feedback on that.
Now, can you just remind me, with the assistant principals at the middle school, did they, I know we've only had the two for this past year, but was it different responsibilities allocated to each? Did they just kind of jump in wherever needed? How did that work?
So one of them took responsibility for sixth grade and worked with the sixth grade guys. So the guidance counselors, I don't know if you remember, they follow the grade through the middle school. There are 3 of them, and they follow the grade through. So one of them worked with the sixth grade guidance counselor and half of the seventh grade, and the other worked with eighth grade and half of the seventh grade. And for the most part, they had the same responsibilities, but Mr. Carroll was very mindful of utilizing the strengths of each. And so, you know, where one was a lot more structural and very good at the legal aspects and doing reports and things of that nature, and the other was very good at had a lot of experience in MTSS and restorative practices and discipline in that sense. And so they in that way, you're going to try to play to the strengths of your administration, but in terms of their responsibilities, they had the same responsibilities, but for different populations of students. So they could get to know them better, get to know the parents, and work with the same group of students.
Thank you. Do committee members have any questions or comments for Dr. Cabral about this? Anyone?
I will share, I fully understand Mr. Carroll's perspective on it. With the current budget situation, I certainly have a significant level of pause on filling that position, knowing the financial situation of the district and the fact that we were making do, I guess is what I would term. Prior to this, I do have some concerns about staffing that position, given the fact that the override did not go through and the financial uncertainty that we're facing, especially with the additional federal funding consideration. So that would be my perspective on it.
I would agree with Kelly.
I will say, in terms of making do, that the level of success of that making do is questionable.
I have some real serious safety concerns about only having one or two administrators in the building. The middle schools in my district are smaller because we have more of them, and it's a slightly different model, but there are 3 administrators. And my concern, I mean, I fully appreciate what you're saying about the budget, and it's somebody left, so like why not like leave it open? But my concern is that things can spiral really quickly, and that is a very volatile age. And when things spiral out of control, and because there's a situation, it winds up being all hands on deck, and the instructional piece is going to fall to the wayside. Whether we like it or not, that's what's going to happen if something's really tricky is going on. Lunchrooms can be very challenging without some sort of an administrative presence. And if we don't have teachers who feel empowered or feel like they have that desire to be taking on that role in a lunchroom, lunchrooms can spiral really quickly too. And if you have 3 administrators, you have a much better shot of having somebody in there and then still having people out in classrooms watching instruction, doing evaluations, working with families. I have some safety and instructional concerns about not filling it.
I appreciate the budget concerns. I really do. My concern is aligned with Colleen, as well as the amount of paperwork that needs to be filed for each disciplinary action that there is. I know that the paperwork that has to get filled out and filed is a legal requirement, and the investigations that need to happen along with that. I appreciate the budget concern, but I don't think that this is a place where we can afford to have that legal risk.
Thank you all. So Dr. Carell, you said you had asked Mr. Carroll to check in with his staff about what they feel the need is. Do you know what the timing? I mean, obviously it's summer, everyone's on vacation. What are you looking at, some kind of timing to decide whether or not to fill this role? I mean, I know it's getting close to the start of school. Is there a timeline on this?
Mr. Carroll is interested in moving forward, and he is meeting with people all the way up until he can potentially offer a position, and then waiting to hear from me of whether he's going to be able to do that or not. So he's currently doing that. He has a committee of people who volunteered, who clearly have expressed interest in participating. He has not gotten back to me yet, and so I'm reaching out to him. As you know, I'm not in the district right now. I am attending the Mass Association of School Superintendent Conference, so I will be following up with him. But like I said, it by all accounts of the feedback that we received when we were at the middle school this year, it was a much better year than had been the year prior.
Are the committee members of his staff?
Yes.
Are there any parents on it, or is it just EMS staff?
Well, we always have parents. We try to have parents, students, and staff. Sometimes we don't have volunteers in every category, but that's the expectation.
And so if the decision is to go forward with this position, how is it going to be funded? Is it going to be funded from what was set aside for the assistant principal who just left? How will that work?
Well, so the budget's done, before town meeting. So before we knew anybody was leaving, the staff rollover included that line. So that amount is in the budget right now because we didn't realize that there would be a departure. So it's currently in the budget, and it's currently in the budget as an assistant principal.
Okay, thank you. So if you could just keep us updated on where the process stands, how his interactions with his staff go on this position, that would be really helpful.
Okay, if he gets to a point where he is ready to offer a position, we may be in the situation again where we lose candidates because of timing. So the more feedback I can get from the school committee, the better, because anything I get from Mr. Carroll will be coming in, rolling in quickly.
Okay, so
I don't know if you all have a sense of if this is something you think is important to move forward with or to not move forward with.
Okay, so if I could just we're not voting, we're not even taking a consensus, but if I could just get a feel from you all about what you think about moving forward with this position, that would be really helpful.
Right now,
Mm-hmm.
I would like to move forward with this position.
I would agree with Lauren. We're not adding anything to the budget. It was already accounted for, and I think it's important for a myriad of reasons that we move forward with it.
Jim, Kelly?
I believe even though it's already in the budget, it's potential we could reallocate those funds to other potentially more strategic priorities throughout the year that we may not be aware of yet, similar to the HVAC salary that we voted to use for other reasons as we got to the end of the year. So I would say no, not moving forward at this time.
Kelly?
I believe the position is important. I do think it's needed, and that we do for all the same reasons that we supported creating the role in the past. That it is necessary with the amount of paperwork, the students, and some of the challenges that we were experiencing, and that we got clear feedback that the year went smoother this past year in that regard. But if we continue to face uncertainty and risk from a federal funding standpoint, then I struggle with filling this position because I think we have a financial challenge ahead of us. So I provide that guidance with the perspective that we will continue to find out information from the state and the federal government over the coming weeks. And I expect that the team can make the right judgment call based on where our financials stand at that time.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn as well. I'm very concerned about what's going to be facing us not just this year with the budget that's already done, but what's going to happen the following year. I do understand that the administrative responsibilities at a middle school have exploded over the past couple of years with the legal requirements, with the paperwork, with the investigations. And I certainly don't want to put the middle school at any kind of a risk in that sense. So I think right now what would be helpful is, we're meeting again next week. If you could just even update us on if there's been even any changes by next week in terms of Mr. Carroll's committee recommendations, him checking in with his staff, if there's any new budget information we have, just to kind of keep us in the loop with all of that. I think that it would be helpful. I think right now we just don't have very much information to work with.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other staffing updates, or is that it?
No, it was just about trying to update you on things that we had left open
Great.
at the end of the year.
Okay, thank you. So the next item on the agenda is a discussion of Senate Bill 381. So I think I emailed to all of you. Senator Driscoll emailed me this week about this bill, which was recently advanced by the Senate Education Committee. It would ban cell phones in school for the duration of the day. There is an exception. It says, said policies shall prohibit the use of cell phones by students during instructional time, except when expressly directed by a teacher. So there is an opening there if a teacher wants to use the cell phones in the class. He is not on the committee, but he thinks it's going to come up. So he's reaching out to his constituent school committee members to see if anyone has either ideas about including this in general, specific language, challenges with implementation, and he needs my comments by the end of the week. So it would be really helpful for me to get feedback from you all, including Dr. Cabral, on what you think about this potential change in the bill and implementation issues, maybe questions he should be asking about this, issues he should be raising. If you could just let me know your thoughts, I'd really appreciate it.
So just for those of you that aren't aware, this is our current policy. This is not remarkable for us at all. This has been very successful for us. I've shared in the past how students have shared, particularly at the high school level, have shared the quote unquote relief that they have felt without having the pressure of responding to friends or being distracted in their classes. So this is already our policy. So we support it, which is why we have it.
So maybe you could just give us a reminder of how the policy works at the high school, and if there's a similar one at the middle school.
So the middle school phones are not to be seen, used, heard, or anything for the entirety of the day. The only difference at the high school is it's exactly as the bill says. It's not to be used during instructional time unless expressly used for a specific purpose by the instructor. And as I said, it has been successful. We have not had major issues with that. The students it's implemented a little bit differently everywhere. Some teachers just have the policy in their classroom that it's not to be seen or heard. And others actually have sort of a pocket files when you come in the door where they leave their phone in the front of the classroom and they pick it up on the way out. That's the only difference. And there are some times where they may use it for, to give feedback or to remember that the high school is one-to-one. It's going to continue to be one-to-one. And so they have devices. But if there's something that they might be using a particular app or using some kind of responsive technology, It's for very explicit instructional purposes only.
Thank you. Committee members, thoughts?
I have a question. So if it becomes law, how does that get enforced? Does the school get fined in any way? Like, I don't understand how it works.
Every law is a little bit different. As you probably remember, the tool of choice is to restrict any kind of funding. That's typically how things are done. I don't know that that's the case with this, but we don't have any concern with it being a law because, like I said, we totally support it and it's already in place. And it's been years now, and everybody's used to it at this point. But I don't know in particular how they would enforce it or what kind of consequence would be in place if it weren't.
So I think the way in which we have implemented this is working quite well at the high school level. I do think it teaches students that there's a time and a place for the device. I know that they are able to use it if they're using it for a Quizlet, for studying, if a teacher gives them permission to do so. If they are using it for a classroom related activity, and then there are times where it gets put away and you simply need to focus without your device. And I think that is helpful for them to experience. So I'm comfortable with the law in the way that we've implemented it. If that were to be amended, if language were amended that the device can't enter the building or that they can't have it at all, ever during school hours, I would be uncomfortable with that. But the way that it's being framed today seems to be much in accordance with the policy Dr. Corolla shared. And I do think it's working quite well in that regard.
Yeah, I agree. I would be very comfortable with it as long as our district doesn't see any difference with the way that we're already doing. The way that it's already implemented for us.
Yeah, it's interesting because in Senator Driscoll's email, he said it was bell to bell, but it
Right.
really isn't bell to bell the way the law is written. It's just during instructional time. So that was interesting.
Whenever I've seen it in other places, not just from Driscoll, it's always says bell to bell. So I don't know if that's just common language of how to describe it, but that's not just Driscoll's wording.
Colleen, Jim, anything?
I'm supportive of the policy. Generally, some sort of like top-down statewide ban isn't preferable in my mind, but I'm happy that we, as a town, do this. I was thinking back, I actually didn't get a smartphone. I got a smartphone, my first one, for high school graduation present. So I'm probably one of the last groups of kids who never had to deal with this problem in school, but I'm supportive of the language. I think it's good. I mean, they're extremely distracting in general. I can't imagine trying to focus in a classroom or multiple classrooms with it going off all the time. So.
Thank you. Colleen, anything?
No, I'm just thinking that I was on, I led a focus group maybe 2 years ago with high school students, which is not my typical background. It's usually more elementary, but I had freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. And while they were all lovely students and they were great and they were engaged in this conversation, I found that the freshmen and the sophomores, lesser extent the juniors, were almost physically unable to look away from their devices. There was one child having a full-on conversation with me, was engaged in the process, was not in the least bit trying to be disrespectful or dismissive, but could not turn off the Instagram reels and could not make eye contact with me and continued to talk to me while like doom scrolling. Like it was some sort of almost like a binky with a baby. And so they're like a security blanket for especially our younger kids who did middle school in COVID. So I think it's actually positive because they don't know how to break away from it unless someone physically comes in and says, you're not going to use a phone right now. So I think it's good.
Great. Well, thank you all very much. I appreciate that. Before we adjourn, is there anything else? All right. Well, again, thank you very much. I know this was thrown together at the last minute. I appreciate all of your flexibility and your willingness to throw another July meeting in the calendar. I will send you out the information for our meeting next week. And Kelly, I know that you won't be able to be there, but look forward to seeing you all next week. And on that note, I'm going to make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second, Loomis.
A roll call vote. Lauren,
Loomis, yes.
Jim,
Hamilton, yes.
Colleen,
Prowler, yes.
Kelly,
Percio, yes.
Wiseman, yes. Dr. Cabral, enjoy the conference. Bring us back lots of good information.
Bye.
Yes.
Thank you all.
Thank
very
you.
much.
Good
I
night.
Thank
have information. I don't know that it's all good, but I have
Okay. Thank you.
Great.
Good night. Good night.
Thanks. Bye.